Hello everyone, welcome to Datanacle presentations. I'd like to start this off by posing a couple of questions that will help you gain some knowledge into what we're going to dive into today. Are you a business currently running an ERP system such as Microsoft Dynamics GP, Salesforce, SAP, Sage? Do you currently have a business continuity plan considering the current situation that we're dealing with, whether that be a global pandemic or everybody working from home? Chances are, within the last couple of weeks, yourself or someone in your office has been tasked with formulating a business continuity plan. My name is Marlon Mupiri, and today we're discussing business continuity for small to medium business applications. All right, so before we get started, I would like to talk a little bit about myself. And as far as education, I studied financial economics, got my master's in data analytics, work experience from different industries, real estate, banking, and IT, to sum it up. And my main skills include project management and data engineering. My hobbies include reading, tennis, soccer, programming. I like to stay active, and I'm weirdly a big fan of subsistent farming, considering my humble beginnings. All right, so let's dive right into our agenda here. And keep in mind as you go through these slides, this is more of a supportive presentation, and it's not the end all be all of business continuity, but more so trying to bring to the forefront information or topics that need to be brought up as you're going through your business continuity plan. And so, with our five things, the first thing we're going to go over is remote access. Secondly, is going to be security, which is a hot topic at the moment. And third is one of my favorite topics, backups, and talk through some financial transactions and workflows. And then finally, finish us off with some free tools and services. All right, so let's dive into remote access. Now, at this point, unless you're an essential business, you should be working from home. Remote access is very important, and you want to make sure you revise a couple of questions to develop your business continuity plans. And just to go over a couple of questions, started with number one, which systems are you using? Now, this is a very important question because you want to understand which systems are available for your team to use. So, you want to know, are you using Citrix? Are you using terminal servers? There are other remote applications out there, remote desktop connections, AnyDesk, Chrome Remote Desktop, TeamViewer, plenty out there. And going into number two, you want to know, are those systems adequate enough to handle your business needs? And what that entails is knowing, that you have enough licenses now that more people are working from home, that your network can handle the bandwidth and the throughput that's suddenly being required of it more than ever before. And which systems are you using? Is it remote data centers that are being run for remote access, or using your on-premise hardware? And so you want to understand these limitations that come along with their own challenges. And so going into number three is a little bit of a doozy because everybody kind of overlooks this one. Is your staff set up with the necessary remote access? Everybody thinks remote access is something simple, easy to set up. Go ask your system admin that. But essentially, you want to know, you'd be surprised how many people don't have access, don't have their remote access set up. It sounds simple to download and install, but it's not always the case. And so you want to make sure that your IT team has sent instructions, they set up procedures, and catch on with some of the staff that might need some handholding in setting this up. All right, so on to security. Number one, does your staff understand your IT security policy? And I should probably rephrase that to, do you even have an updated policy for remote work? Because you'd be surprised how many times organizations have outdated IT policies from, the early 2000s. And so it's possible that before this, no one ever thought you'd be working from home, or that your whole organization would have to move operations to everybody working remotely. And so you definitely want to look into that as far as security. And then number two, are your remote systems secure? Now, obviously, secure is a very broad statement, but what I'm telling is, on the user end, are you using dual authentication? Is there a two-factor authentication set up? Because we all know passwords are not good enough to match an algorithm, and there's plenty of tools out there. So why not use them to set up push notifications, hardware tokens, text messages, depending on the software, that will make sure that, John Smith is really John Smith, because there could be a lot of them out there. And number three, how do you monitor your IT systems? So this is a critical one because now you've got machine learning and you can easily monitor your networks and software much easier. Your staff is working from home and you could be dealing with a lot more intrusions or network interruptions that come about because you got your users' networks linking into your network, and so there's a lot of connectivity going on there from a network standpoint. And maybe your staff is borrowing Wi-Fi from the neighbor's public network, which is definitely a possibility because Wi-Fi is not free. Do you even have a follow-up process to ensure connectivity and performance? And so keeping up with monitoring and tracking your systems is definitely part of security, and now you can do it with the level of tools that we've got today. All right, so on to backups. Now, this is one of my favorite topics because it's always underrated until you actually need it. And just so you know, I will be having another session strictly on data loss and recovery. So let me know if you're interested. So number one, data loss prevention. So the number one reason backups should be considered for a continuity plan is data loss prevention. So someone could click the wrong button. It happens. I've done it before. Or with everybody working from home, you will have some network latency leading to packet losses, leading to data loss or, corruption. And so for those that are not aware, packets are data that travels across computer networks, just like you travel going to work. And sometimes there's a lot of traffic, but no one seems to know where to go, and that could be considered fragmentation in our case. So double check your backup plan so that you can recover in case of an incident. Number two, data lifecycle management. So this is also a great time to revise your governing principles, policies, and understand what types of backups you have. And you want to know what type of backups. If you have SQL databases, you might need to back them up a certain way, server level, file level. Where are they ultimately stored? Are they on-premise, off-site? What are the backup frequencies or rotations for deletion? Because um, space is not unlimited. Even if you're an Amazon, Microsoft, or Google for that matter, you might be getting charged an arm and a leg just to save your arm. And so keep an eye on that. And then number three, recovery maintenance testing. So there's no better time to test your backups. This means testing your recovery process because think of it. I mean, what's the point of being able to do a backup if you can't recover from it? And so jump right into testing. All right, so on to financial transactions. And so anyone running a business is obviously aware of the importance of their finances. And so what we're going to talk through here is more so, the little items or the major items that matter a lot in your business continuity. So number one, in more detail, are you printing checks in terms of how you're paying your vendors or your staff, or is a third party company managing your AP or your AR? Number two, do you have electronic POS wire transfer options? Essentially, do you have electronic systems that are not limited, or are you still sending a check printer to your AP supervisor along with the blank checks? Something that obviously requires a lot of trust. And number three, do you have an approval process? Number three is very important because you don't want, your funds going out of your checkbook without some type of approval process. And you definitely also want to look into, having a backup plan. Speaking of backups, you want to have backup staff so that when your current staff can't go through the approval process, there's somebody else in hand to take over when the current staff is not available, so that your business operations are not, put to a halt because somebody's not feeling well, unfortunately. All right, so on to everybody's favorite part, the free tools and services. Everybody loves free. And so I've noted some remote access, security, and backups um, tools that can be used or services that can be used for free. Now, keep in mind, free does not mean free forever. There's obviously some limitations to some of these where you might be required to go through a trial version and then suddenly, fish and bait, got to pay up. And so know those challenges. Then there's some that I've used before, like Microsoft Remote Desktop Team Viewer, that work very well. And for example, that's for remote access, by the way. And then as for security, definitely, we talked about earlier, you definitely want to make sure you're tracking and monitoring your systems for things like weak passwords or, network intrusions, and making sure that your systems, your networks are, protected. That's your parameter right there. And then for backups, there's plenty of backup tools now that you can use for free. So for example, if you've got Microsoft Office accounts, there's typically, like, I think it's 1 terabyte for Microsoft OneDrive. I consider that free because a whole terabyte, I mean, nowadays a whole terabyte is considered fairly small, but free is free. All right, so just to quickly summarize, we touched on remote access, security, backups, financial transaction, free tools and services. So you can go ahead and, rewind this back to the free tools and services, take a snippet, grab as much as you can, and we hope you got some gears turning in the right direction. If you need any additional support, feel free to contact Datanacle and we'll help you build resilience and reshape your organization for a post-crisis infrastructure. And so the contact information is noted there at the bottom left of the screen. Thank you for watching, and hit the like button and share this link with others. Thank you.